Hello, this is training for modeling 2 tropical bedrooms. So we're going to start off with these files. We've already saved them on the PDFs in Photoshop, and in the name we have written down the sizes, so we know how big the paper size is, 30 inch by 42 inches. So we need to know that so that we can find out what the scale is in 3D in SketchUp. So let's let's open up the JPEG and just look at it. See, it says scale in feet, so it has a scale 0 to 18 and 0 to 9, but it doesn't say if it's 1/4 inch equals a foot scale, or we doesn't say what type of scale it is, so we have to kind of guess. And the most common scale for United States, which is what most of the projects that I do here is, the two most common scales is 1/8 inch equals a foot and 1/4 inch equals a foot. So that means you have to take the number of inches and times it by 8 or times it by 4 to get the overall amount of feet that is in 3D in SketchUp. So let's bring this JPEG, drag it in from Windows Explorer into SketchUp, and we'll just take a guess. So first we'll right click, explode it, and then I like to apply the default material to the underside so that it's just the texture on the top. I also like to turn on X-ray mode so that I can see my drawings more easily than if it's not turned on X-ray mode. So now I'm going to select all of these 4 lines in that face, the texture that it made when I exploded that image. Right click, make group, double click on that group so I'm inside the group. You can see that by the dotted line. And use the tape measure tool. Let me just make my buttons a little bit bigger so you can see them a little better. And if I take my tape measure tool, so I know that this is supposed to be 42 inches by 30 inches paper size. So if I take a guess and I take a calculator and say 30 inches times 8, that would be 1/8 inch scale equals 240 feet. So let's just guess. Let's try to click on tape measure tool, click one corner, click the other corner with a left click, left mouse button, and type in 240 apostrophe enter. Do you want to resize the group? Yes. So when I type in 240 feet or 240 apostrophe enter, I'm forcing it to be the size I want. So let's just use the pencil tool and check to make sure that's the right size. So 240 feet. Now we can either use the pencil tool or the tape measure tool. Either one. If I click on the 0 and I drag it over a line over here, I can see down in this bottom right corner how many feet it is. So I can see it's saying 13.5 feet, which is not correct. It's wrong. And if I did the tape measure, it would be the same thing. So it doesn't matter whether you use the pencil or the tape measure. So that guess was wrong. So that maybe it's a strange type of scale. I'm trying to think what kind of scale it would be. It says 18.9. That's just trying to think what kind of a scale is this. It should be a certain kind of scale. So if I type in 9 feet, 9 apostrophe enter, I'm getting a bigger size. So instead of 8, so 4, 6, 8, so that's 9. Maybe, so it needs to be bigger. So if it's not 8, maybe it's 10. So 30 times 10 would be 300. So let's try that. Maybe it's an odd scale. Maybe it's 1/10 of an inch equals 1/10 of an inch equals 1 foot, or maybe it's 1/12 of an inch. Let's try 3. So let's double click on the group, use tape measure, left click one corner, left click the other corner, then type in 300 apostrophe enter. Yes, we want to resize it, hit enter. So now when we measure it, is this the proper scale? And it's not. So I'm going to guess that it's actually a 1/12 inch scale, not 1/8 or 1/10. So if I double click, let's find out what is 30 inches times 12 is 360. That's probably correct. Let's try it. 360 apostrophe enter. Yes, okay. It's a little tricky because it doesn't tell us what scale it's at. We just have to guess until we get it right. So if I measure this, no, that's not right either. It's so weird. That's frustrating. Let me think about this for a minute. So, the only thing I could think to do at this point, it's not really working very good. I'm just going to draw a line from 0 to 18, and I'm going to force it to be that scale. And then it's not going to be perfect, but it might give us a better idea. So now I can left click tape measure that both sides of the line and then type in 1/8 apostrophe enter. So I'm forcing this line to be 18 feet because that's what it says. Now it's not highly accurate because my line, my line's a little shaky, but now I can get a better idea of what this page paper should be. So when I just measure it, now that I forced it to be closer to what it's supposed to be, I can see down there when I hover over on the left or right bottom corner of the screen, it says 320 and a couple, 2 or 3 inches more. So I'm going to guess that it should be 320 because that sounds like a good round number. So if I force it to be exactly 320 feet, enter, apostrophe enter, now I don't know what scale that is, but I know that that's correct because when I measure it, it's exactly 18 feet. So I know it's right. I can't think in my head what scale that is. I don't know why I'm blanking on it right now. But anyway, I know it's correct because there's no way it could be that perfectly of a round number. Oh, it didn't work. I'm gonna scale it up a lot bigger and then force it back down to 320. 320. That's just weird. So what I can do now is I can reverse engineer, I can divide instead of multiply. So if I know that this is supposed to be 320 feet, and that's at the correct scale now, I can take my calculator and type in 320 feet divided by 30 inches, which it's a weird number, but I think it makes sense. I can't think of it in my brain right now what kind of a scale it's using. I just know that it's correct. Another way to check to make sure your scale is correct is that doors are usually 3 feet wide. So if I measure this door, it should be 3 feet wide, which it is. If I include the door itself. So the door starts here, and then it goes over to here, and it's 3 feet. So I'm almost on. I am 100% sure we have the correct scale. It's always very, very important that you get the scale correct, because if the scale is not correct, everything you do from this point forward will be wrong. your entire model will be wrong. Everything you model, because these walls are supposed to be exactly 18 inches wide, those will be wrong. The wall heights will be wrong. The windows and doors will be the wrong size. If the scale is not correct, everything's going to be wrong. Okay, so now that we got the scale correct, we can right click explode that group, and let's just save it. Tropical bedrooms. Okay. Now, the next thing we want to do is, I'm not sure why this is rotated the way it is, because as you can see it says true north and the arrow is pointing down into to the right. And in our 3D world, this should be north on this way, and they probably just did that because it fit on the page a certain way. The way they liked the way it looked. I don't know why, but we want to rotate that back. So I'm gonna move it over so that that north arrow lines up on the world axis, right in the center. Just move this image and then go to my rotate tool and then click on the middle and then click on the tip of this north arrow, and I can rotate all the way around to where it's supposed to be, right there. So now it's oriented correctly in the world. So if I model this in 3D and then I bring it into a rendering program and I tell it what time of the day to be and what area of the world to be in, the lighting should be correct with the sun angle. If you don't orient it, if it's not rotated correctly, a lot of times when they draw the drawings, it is oriented where north is up. But for this time, they didn't like the way it fit on the paper, so they rotated it. That happens sometimes, but we don't want to get it all messed up for when we do the final rendering. We want the lighting to be correct, not wrong, because you could have a lot of light coming in and shining on someone's eyes and you wouldn't ever know it because the rendering was wrong. I've seen that happen. The people who pay for the house to be built are angry because they didn't know there was going to be sun in their eyes when they're eating breakfast. But you can find that stuff out if you do it correctly. So scale is the number one thing you have to do first. Then you make sure it's oriented where north is up. It doesn't have to be 100%, but I like it to be pretty close. Like as for example, this line, it would be a lot easier to model if this was straight, and it's not that much different than the way it is right now. If I just rotate it a little bit, I'll do it better, but I'm okay with that because it's almost pointing north. It's just a few degrees off, and it'll make our modeling a lot easier. So the way I'm going to do that to readjust it is I'm going to click on right on the middle of one of these walls and then draw a line to the other side of the wall. So that's the line I want to follow. So then I select everything. Oh, actually, let me draw one more line going straight up. So now I have everything selected except that true line, true north line. Then I can rotate everything else using that line, and I can snap from the corner here up to there and then snap it to there. So now I've just cheated it a little bit over so that my true north is a little bit off, but now when I model, everything will be parallel or perpendicular depending on which direction you're modeling, and so I don't have to worry about the angle as much. And that'll just, it's not, you could do it on an angle, you just have to reorient the axis for the house itself, which I can show you how to do that on a different time, but for right now, this is where we want it to be. This will work best. We don't want to we want it to be fairly accurate, but 90% accurate is okay as far as the sun, the shadows. And we can always rotate it later. If we model this whole house and we decide we want to get it more accurate, after it's modeled, we could rotate it using this arrow and rotate it back a few degrees to be perfectly true north again. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just you got to do that before you get into your rendering program, because then your trees and your sky and everything will be off if you rotate it after you start rendering it. You want to make sure the model is where you want it before you start rendering. So now we got to rotate it where we want it to be. We can go into styles and edit, and then into this last one to edit the settings, and just turn off model X's, because it's just in our way. We don't need that. Okay, it will update that style. Zoom in a little bit. So we can see our floor plan for our house, our tropical bedrooms here, but we're not actually going to use that because this is actually the site plan. It just happens to have the floor plan on it, but we have a more detailed floor plan, a more accurate one that we're going to bring in. So let's save it. Let's just zoom in right here, right click on this scene and say update. And if you don't have a scene already, you can go view, animation, add scene. And then when you're moving around, you click on that scene, it goes back to the right spot. Let's save this version. Now, before I start modeling the site, I want to bring in my other images, because now I've got this to the proper scale. And I have these other images, these two, the roof plan and the floor plan, that I can easily bring it in here with these ones. So, and then just match up the same scale to this. We don't have to redo that whole process again. So let's drag in this roof plan and then just match it up with the image we have here. So what I'll do is, oh, the scale is different. Oh yeah, maybe yeah, it looks a little different. So we might have to do that whole scale process again. So if I move it and rotate it to line up with this, yeah, it's a different scale. This one probably is 1/8 scale, and the other one is not 1/8 scale. I don't know what it was, but I'm guessing that this is 1/8 or 1/12. That's just weird. Maybe it's 1/9 scale. It must be 1/9. I don't know. I just know it's right now. It's not 1/9 because it was like a 10.66. I don't know. So let's explode this, and then do the same thing. Add the default material to the bottom. Now we've got 4 lines and a textured face. Let's right click, make group. So if we assume that that is 30 inches at 1/8 scale, so 30 times 8 is 240. Let's see if that works. So double click on the group, left click, type 240 apostrophe enter. Yes, resize it. And I think that's correct. So if we drag it over here, it should line up perfectly, and it does. So there we go. Must have did something right. And we want it to line up perfectly with our site plan. This is our roof plan. I don't really use the roof plan, but it's just good to have it in there for reference. I'll show you how I do the roof. You may have done it similar if you did some of my other tutorials. So we're exploding everything. So that's in the right spot. It's not in the right spot, but oh, you know what? I messed up. So now that it's lined up, I'm going to move it over exactly a certain amount so that if I want to move it back later, I can. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to type in 500 apostrophe enter. So I moved it over exactly 500 feet. So if I ever want to realign it, I can just move it exactly 500 feet back and then line it up and look where I'm at in the modeling process. So I'm guessing that the floor plan is exactly the same as the roof plan as far as the scale. So let's line it up. Let's just line it up exactly with that because I think it is the same. So now we can just move this down. Let's move this 500 feet down and then 500 feet across and maybe 150 feet up, and then we'll explode everything. So now we've got our floor plan, our site plan, and our roof plan in the model at the proper scale. We're ready to start some modeling processes. Oh, I forgot, there's one more image we have to bring in. I want to bring that in before we start. So let's save this as a new version of the file. And then there's a wall detail that's very helpful to us. Something that's bugging me a little bit is just the orientation of the paper to these lines, and I know we already have everything situated, so I can just slice this paper using our new orientation, so my eyes are a little bit better adjusted. No, that didn't work. I don't know why that didn't work. I don't know. Sometimes you gotta go backwards to go forward. Maybe you saw that movie. Okay, that's just for my own brain. I can keep things straight a little better because the orientation of the paper is different than the orientation of the model. I'm just gonna kind of keep things aligned as best I can. I'm not sure. Yeah, I messed up the alignment. That's my fault. I must redo the alignment again. That's okay. It's not that hard. That looks pretty good. Let's go 200 feet. And then let's line this up with this. Yeah, let's line up with this. That looks good. And then we'll just go over 100 feet. Okay, now everything's lined up again. Can explode everything again. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep these as groups. Keep these as groups so I can move them around. And then this will be exploded because we're going to model the site first. Okay, let's save it. Let's save this. Oh, I forgot again. I have one more image to bring in. Okay. It's this wall detail right here. So let's just drag it into SketchUp. It's very important to have this. You don't always get this, but since we do have it, it really is helpful to tell us the profile of the wall and the gutter and everything. We're going to follow this exactly. Even this little detail right here. The little details matter the most. If you focus on the details, the easy stuff, the big easy stuff in the middle will solve itself automatically. Always focus on the details. Get those right. Okay. Let's expose. Oh, I have shadows turned on. I can turn that off. So let's apply the default material to the bottom. And right click, make it a group. Let's see what the scale, it's saying, I'm just clicking view, component edit, hide rest of model. So I just see what's inside this group right now. So this one is going to be different. It might be 1/24 scale because this 24 gives me a clue. No, it's not 1/24. It's probably 1/4 scale. I don't know. We could try 1/4 scale. So if it's 30 at 1/4 scale, well, 42 times 4, or actually 30 times 4 is 120. I think that's too much. If I do 120 feet, enter. Yeah, that's way too much. I think it's half that. If I just scale this down by 0.5, I think that's the correct scale. Let's measure this and see if we're close. 24 inches. No, we're not even close. Maybe it's... No, let's do our cheat method. Let's draw a line inside this group and make it exactly 24 inches. So either 2 feet or 24 inches. Enter. Oops. No, I gotta draw the line first. All the way to where it's supposed to be 24. Do the tape measure and then force it to be 24. 24. Enter. Yes, resize. Now we can see what size this is. So it says 40. It's exactly right. So I don't trust myself, so I'm just going to redo it, scale it up. Tape measure both sides, type in 40, enter. Yes, resize it. So now this should be the correct scale, because we kind of figured out what scale it should be. It's exactly 24 inches. So now we know that's at the right scale, because it's matching what it says down here. So now we can grab this line, select that line, and then hold down Control, and then move a copy up, and we're gonna get that floor line right there. And we can delete the rest of that. We don't need that. We can copy a line over here. Delete that with the eraser tool. Hold on Control, move a copy over here. Eraser, delete that. I'm using some hotkeys, so eraser tool, move, rotate, pencil, select. Okay, so now we have it right at the floor line, so we can move this down to the ground level, and then use the rotate tool and click on the middle and drag it over, straight over, get that red circle, and then click and drag up, type in 90, enter. Now our wall is standing up, and we can move it over to our floor plan, and we will rotate it 90 degrees, and then move it so that this edge of the wall lines up with the edge of this wall right here perfectly, right there. That's good. So now we're starting to see how this house should come together, the shape. This really helps us. We very rarely get this information. We have to fake it in there until we make it. But we can see where the roof should be. This is a metal, I think that's a metal roof coming up. There's a gutter. There's some trim boards coming around here and some vents and there's all kinds of information that can help us get the profile correct to go around here. That's why we don't really need the roof plan, because if we have the floor plan and this profile, we have everything we need. I don't usually even look at that. I might just look at it just to make sure that the architect, the designer or architect, is thinking kind of the same thing of what is really happening in the model. If it doesn't, then either I did something wrong in the model or the architect drew it wrong. So, and usually it's my mistake and I have to figure out what mistake I made, but once in a while it's not my mistake, it's just the designer or architect didn't draw it perfectly correct, but it does not happen very often. Okay, now we can save it and start to model the site. And this is actually pretty fun, because these lines are actually elevation lines, so I'll show you in a minute. Let's save it. Okay, so there's two different things that we need to get from the information from the site plan. One is the contour lines, as you can see here, that are streaking across. These are the old dotted lines of the old contour lines, and then these colored lines are the new ones. So we're gonna follow the old ones until it gets to the new ones, and then follow the new ones around. And then, as you can see, this number here is 640 around this edge. So from this edge all the way around here, this thick line will all be at level 640. And then the rest will go down. And then the second piece of information we need to get is this is a road. So we need to draw this road, and we need to draw that wall, and then draw the hill. And then merge the two together, and I'll show you how to do that. So we need to draw it in two separate sections. So we need to copy this over, move and hold Control, and then move it over 200 feet, enter. So now we have a copy. So for this one, we're just going to draw the contour lines. So we could use the pencil tool, you could use a freehand tool, you could use the arc tool, but I've just found that sometimes it's just easier to use the pencil tool. So I'll just start, first of all, I'll bring this in. Yeah, I'll just leave it like that. So let's start with this wall line here, and then trace it over. It's on a little bit of an angle, that's okay. And then we'll definitely use the arc tool here. And by default, the arc tool has 12 sides, but we want this to be really smooth, so we're gonna go back to the pencil, click on the arc, and then before we draw anything, we're gonna type 50, enter. So now down the right bottom corner, we have 50 sides, so that's gonna be a really smooth curve that we're gonna draw right here. Then we'll go back to our pencil tool and finish drawing the rest of this wall. We want it to be 18 inches wide, so we type in 18, enter. And then come back and retrace our steps. Now it looks a little bit, let's make this go perpendicular, 18, enter. And I'm going to delete this extra line here. So I can see it's not aligning properly, so I'm going to select those lines that we drew and I'm going to move it over so that it's aligning in the middle of here. That looks better. It's a little bit off there, but I think it's close enough. Let's draw this, hover to get that straight edge, and then hold down shift to lock it and then snap it. And then we already have our 50 sides, so we can draw another 50-sided curve here. So it's a nice smooth curve. And it gets a little bit of a corner there. We want to just take that edge off a little bit so that it's nice and smooth. You can just cut that corner off. Should be good. I'll do it one more time just because I like it to be nice. Some people call me a perfectionist. I'll let you decide. Okay. I think that's pretty good. So we drew that wall. That's part of our that top line is going to follow that wall. Kind of. I'll show you. So let's finish drawing this wall with this thick, or this top plane with this thick line, colored line. That's denoting the new contours. You're going to push it around with the machine instead of where the old dotted ones were. It's heading it off at the pass. So we'll go ahead and draw the rest of these lines. I'm just using the pencil tool because to me it's a little easier than using the other tools. We're going to draw all these lines. Now this line, I did that wrong because this line connects here and then it goes back. It follows this line here. That's the 636, 638, and then that's 640, but you can see the lines are actually over here. So I did that wrong. I'll fix it. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes because everybody makes mistakes all the time. You just got to make sure that when you realize you made a mistake that you go back and fix it. Okay, and then this one I lose where the line is, but I'm just going to guess it's right there. And then follow this line back. Okay, now I can go ahead and draw the rest of the lines. So this one looks like it follows this wall perfectly out, almost perfectly. And then here, and then reconnect with the old contour line here. And then just shoot it out to, I'll just do this too, I'll just shoot it over here because I don't know where it goes next. Just to finish it off here, so. I'm getting a little snapping trouble there. So I'm zooming in with the wheel mouse, the mouse wheel, however you say it. Connect back to the dotted line and then over. And then finish it going this way. Hold down shift. Now I can do the same thing to these lines. I'll just quickly draw all these colored lines first. And I'll go this way. And it doesn't show where they go, so I'm just gonna guess somewhere. They have to go somewhere. They can't disappear because it's literally the ground. If they disappeared, it would just be a black hole, and you'd fall in, and then they'd never find you. Try to do it kind of straight across the road so that the road has an even slope, which may or not be 100% accurate, but since they're not giving us that information, I'm going to take a little liberty to do it to make it easier until I find out the truth on where those lines go. If I never find out, then I did the best I could. Tell Mama I did the best I could. Okay, that's it. We drew all the lines. Because these lines we're not using, these dotted lines, because they're getting intercepted by the new colored lines to shift the dirt around. This dirt stays where it is. So now, let's save it. So now we need to lift these lines up to where they belong. So we can see these numbers, so that we see 620, 622, 624. So that's the feet. So this is at that elevation, 620 feet from the sea level. And this is 636 feet up from the sea level, and this is 640. So what we're going to do is, instead of making it 640 and going way up off the screen, we're just going to ignore the 6. Ignore the 6 and just use these numbers. So we'll grab this face here and also this wall here. Right click and make it to a group, and then lift it up, and then type in 40 apostrophe enter. So now we lifted it up 40 feet. So we're just going to use these last two numbers. So then this next line here is, oh, that's also at 40 feet. Make it a group, lift it up. Okay, so now we can explode that. And then this next line, oh, actually, yeah, so this line here will be at 38 feet. So we can delete this one, because we already have it up here. We can actually go ahead and just delete all of these, because they just keep stepping down by 2 feet. So we already know that. So there's no reason for us to pretend any longer. We can't pretend like we don't know the truth. Okay. So this edge is already up there. We can delete all of this stuff. And we can delete these edges here. We don't need those right now. So in this is at 640, same thing. Now we're going to lift this one up 38 feet, because that's where it's 2 feet less each time. So 38 apostrophe enter. So now it's hovering 2 feet lower than sea level of the 640 up here. And then each line we raise up will be 2 feet lower. So this will be 36 feet. Enter, apostrophe enter. This will be 34. This will be 32. Oops, I didn't do the apostrophe. 32 apostrophe enter. And if you haven't noticed by now, always make sure if you're doing any projects that I'm showing you, that you go into your window preferences and window model info, and where it says units, make sure it's on architectural, not decimal or engineering or fraction, because architectural is inches, and that's what we have to do for almost all the projects that I do. So if you're working with me or doing my tutorials, you have to use inches. If you don't change the window, model info, and then units, and then make sure it's on architectural. If you don't do that before you start, I should have told you that again. I want to do that every time. Then everything will be off as well, just like the scale. It'll make the scale off because you'll be in centimeters instead of inches, because everything I'm doing is inches and feet. And you probably already know, if you don't, 12 inches equals 1 foot. Okay. So, where were we at? This last one went up 30, so let's go up 28. 26. 24. 22. 20. 15, 16, 14. Okay, and then I always want this wall, these exterior sight walls should be 4 feet high. So I'm going to use my push-pull tool, hold down control, and make a slab going down 4 feet, enter. 4 apostrophe enter. I'm going to turn off x-ray mode, and I can use my eraser tool to delete these inside faces because we don't need those anymore. Those are not helping us. Oops. So we've got our sight wall, we've got our contour lines. Now we just have to connect everything together, and then we'll be done modeling the hill. Let's just finish off this wall here. And we'll use the eraser tool, hold down control, and smooth out these edges. Okay. Now we lost a line here. This should connect over here. There we go. Oh, that's wrong. Let's go up and match it to that height. I don't know how we lost that. Messed something up there. That. This should only be 4 feet. So this is a little bit. We're just gonna fake it until we make it and connect that to there. Yeah, that'll work. It's not 100% perfect, but it's 90% perfect. And then we can delete these extra faces we don't need. Actually, I'm going to show you. See, there's a door here. So the way that this wall works is it's 4 feet down here, but it also has to be 4 feet up here. So this wall has to slope up. But I'll show you that a little bit later in a minute, or in a few minutes. Okay, let's save this. We're at a pretty good place so far. So now we need to fill in these lines, or these spaces between the lines. So we can select all these lines and then go to the sandbox tool. If you don't have that, you go to View, Toolbars, and just click on Sandbox, and then it will show up here, and then click on Create a Terrain from a set of selected edges. So now it creates a group of that face, and we can double click that and go View, Component Edit, Hide Rest of Model, and then use your eraser tool to erase the extra edges, because it creates extra edges when there's space in between. And then I can use X-ray mode to see any extra faces I need to delete there. So now we can do the same thing. We can probably just draw a line here to make those faces. This one has a lot of edges, so I'm going to do the sandbox tool here. Right click, explode, and then I'll just select that face, delete, select, delete. Okay, now let's just keep going and do it with all these spaces. You can just use the sandbox, create from contours, double click, eraser, any extra stuff. We lost a few edges. We can just draw those back in with the pencil tool. Oops. Let's see. We lost the whole edge. I see. I don't know how that happened. Okay. That's good. Let's keep going. don't want any extra edges. That's gonna just make it more messy. We just want the edges. Actually, I don't even need, yeah, I'll leave that. We just need the outside edges, that's all. So we're just creating this hill with using our contour lines and then using the sandbox tool to create faces in between the contour lines. That's all we're doing. That simple. As long as the contour lines are where they're supposed to be, 2 feet apart, starting at 640, 40, 38, 36, 34, all the way down. 2 feet difference each time. So this one we want to get all of these over here, but not these there. These, not those. Yes, okay. That's what I want. And then create a face, double click. Use your eraser, anything that's extra. Okay. We're done modeling the hill. Congratulations! We made a hill. Okay, let's explode everything. Explode. I like to explode everything. Oops. And view hidden geometry so I can see all the lines. And then explode curves. Just explode objects and curves so that we can see everything. Now we can smooth this out by doing the same thing where you do the eraser tool and hold down control, not shift, because that will just hide the lines. We want to actually smooth so that it looks like a smooth hill and we don't have these contour lines. Some people like to render showing the hard contour lines, but I'm not going to do it for that. That's not really how I usually do it, because that's not how it shows up in real life. It's kind of cool as an effect, but like if you're trying to show the elevation to somebody in a presentation, but I don't usually do that. So I just smooth out the lines just like they would be in real life if this was grass. Now, there's a little piece missing here. I don't know how that happened. I'm just going to apply the default texture, the default material to that. Right there. Then I can use the eyedropper, click on this site plan, and then eyedropper it back onto here if I wanted to, which I did, so I did. Okay, so we got our nice looking hill, but the road is not cut out yet. We need to have that road cut out in asphalt and then concrete curb, which we'll do over here, and then we'll merge them together. I'll show you how to do that. So let's save this. So, the next thing I want to make sure that this wall goes up 4 feet and then it slopes down. So I'm just going to draw a line 4 feet, enter, and then draw that slab back there, right click, reverse face. And then I'm going to use the push pull tool, bring it over to there. Then I'm going to draw a line going up from here, from this angle up, and then over. It didn't work perfectly. And then just go straight over. It should work there. Reverse face. And then, well, somehow that's white. That got reversed somehow. That should be the tan. Tan's on bottom, white's on top. That's how you see the outer face and the inner faces of Sketchup faces. Yeah, by default, Sketchup is blue and white, but I don't like it that way. I like it like this. So we're gonna, what I like to do, we could leave it like this, but I like to curve these corners, round them off just a little bit so that they're not so hard. So I could use an arc tool, not 50 sides though, more like 6 sides. Because you do not need that many sides for this little piece here. Push pull, and then smooth edges. Now for here, I'm going to show hidden geometry. So I want to smooth this off a little. This is going to be a little bit more tricky. I think I'll just start by just drawing a few lines across. And deleting these ones. But I want to do it one more time. Just draw another smooth, just cut across these lines here. I think I like that. Smooth it out a little bit. We're going to have to leave that one. And this one, reverse face, right click reverse faces, and then we're going to have to leave that one too and just smooth it out. Okay. There we go. That looks pretty good. I still think we could soften it a little bit more. Just maybe move these down a little, and then do one more up here. Just soften that curve just a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now we've got 4 foot all the way around and going up, and then there'll be a gate right here between the house and the wall, so that little kids can't run in here and get bit by the Cocker Spaniel. Okay. So the site is done, it's modeled, but we still need to cut out the road and the curb, like I said earlier. So now that we have that little piece of that wall correct, let's save it. And let's go back into X-ray mode and draw the road here. And then we'll do arc 50 sections. Enter. Go back to pencil tool. Parallel. Maybe not parallel. Close. This has segments because it's following the contours, but I'd rather smooth it out. This is where I'm going to take a little bit of creative license and just smooth out and not have those sharp edges on the curb. That doesn't look as good, I don't think, as a nice curved curb. Maybe I'll do this. Now this is very slight, so I can just do a few segments with a pencil tool. That's fine. Barely a curve. And then reconnect this edge here. That should be good. So we got the road cut out. Now we have to cut out the curb, so we're gonna use the offset tool and then come in 6 enter. So we have a 6-inch curb. And then we would need to do the storm drain, so we'll come in the offset tool, another 14 enter. And then we'll just very quickly finish making these lines extend out. because the road keeps going. To where? I don't know. Because I don't have that information, but not right now, at least. And I don't think it matters right now. Okay. So now let's move it back into place. What was it, 200? Yeah, 200 feet, enter. So now it's lined up. We'll go to top view, camera, parallel projection, and it looks like everything's lined up perfectly. Let's go back to our normal view, turn X-ray mode off. So let's save it before we do this. And I'm going to select the whole thing and make a copy just so I have another copy for working with. And then let's add a default material to everything except that top piece. Because we're just going to work on the shape right now. So what we want to do is bring this road and curb up and cut through, intersect through the hill. So we don't need this, that's just grass. We just need the road. We actually don't even need this part because we just need the outline. I mean, we could do it, but let's use the push-pull tool, hold down Control to move, push-pull a copy up, and then double-click to keep doing that to all the faces. And then I actually should have brought this down a little bit. So now we have it intersecting, but we have to tell it to cut the faces out. So let's just select all of this, right click, intersect faces with selection. So now it's gonna, oh, I forgot, before I do that, I want to move a copy of this up. I'll show you why in a minute. So let's select all of that, right click, intersect faces with selection. It cuts it out. We'll delete these extra faces. So now we've got the road cut out. The only thing that we haven't done yet is the road should be sunk down. The road and the storm drain should be 6 inches below the curb. So what we're going to do is we're going to select that, this, and that. Storm drain, right click, make group, move down 6, enter. So now it's 6 inches below. Now the only thing that we haven't done is there's no faces inside here, it's just open. So usually we can get this back down there. I'm going to reverse faces because it's facing towards the opposite way for the gutter, and then make it a group again, move it down again, and then before I do this something crazy, I'm going to save it. Now I'm going to explode everything, explode curves, right click, intersect faces with selection again, again, delete again, and now I actually did that wrong because, oh, well, some of the faces are facing the right. If I right click, reverse face, so now what it did when I redid the same operation but with the road and the gutter, not gutter but storm drain 6 inches below the rest of it, it automatically used that cutout to create these faces that were missing. And it doesn't always work perfectly. This time it seemed like it worked pretty good because it's fairly simple geometry, but if it gets really crazy, sometimes it doesn't work very good. It'll only do like fill in some of the holes, and you have to go in with a pencil tool and draw the rest of it in by hand, which is a hassle, but it's worth it in the end. In the end, it really matters. Okay, now we have a nice hill, a nice road, and a nice curbs, all on a slope. That wasn't so bad. It's just a little bit painful, but we did it. We don't need this anymore. So now we can come in and give this a texture. So let's select all of this. Let's give it a new texture. Add texture image concrete. Let's find our concrete texture. Great. Where is it? Right here. Okay, and I like to do 40 feet wide for the texture scale. And then also, it's kind of crazy. It's hard to see in the video probably, but it's kind of crazy direction because it's on a hill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have an area that's completely flat. I'll just draw a box, a square right there. Apply that material to that completely flat surface, right click, say texture, projected. So now if I use my eyedropper and I project that texture, it's going to be straight, which is what we want for the top part at least. We don't need it for the side edge because it'll make streaking. You can see that. We don't want that, just for the tops, not the side. We still want the crazy glued on texture for the side walls, but with the top we want it straight. So now we don't want our grass to be made out of concrete, so let's make a grass texture. Let's project that. Use the eyedropper, project that down to make the grass straighten so it's not all crazy, going every which way direction. Now the last thing we need to do is make an asphalt texture for the road. Do project it again with a flat surface down onto the road. Done. One last thing I like to do, because some people say I'm a perfectionist. I kind of agree with that. So I like to, if you've worked on other tutorials or other projects with me and on our team, you know that I like to soften this edge here by using the eraser tool. Hold on Control while I'm doing the eraser, and then you can soften that edge, that curve, to get a nice softer, so it's not so sharp. In real life it's more soft and rounded. The light just curves around it. This is a way to fake that. So you don't have to model that geometry and make it really heavy geometry, but it still bends the light. It's all fake. Everything in here is fake, but it looks decent, so let's go with it. Fake it till you make it. this is a little bit abrupt angle here, so I could fake it and just rotate it very slightly. Just grab all of this right here and use the rotate tool to just fake it up just a little bit so that it's not so, it doesn't look like they're gonna hit their bumper and break something on their car when they drive over it. That's better. We could just do a little bit right here. There, I like that. Okay. There's also a sharp edge right here. We could just straighten that out really quick. Let's try going this way. Ooh, that looks bad. Let's try just using the scale tool. No, that doesn't look good. Just a little bit. That looks pretty good. Okay, call it good, except for right here. Save that. Okay, so we still need to put a texture on this wall, a lava stone texture. So we're going to get that from another model, the past projects model that's included with your files. So open that up, and we're going to steal some textures and some objects out of that file to complete our project. There's nothing wrong with stealing as long as you're stealing from yourself, or if someone offers it freely. It's not really stealing. As long as they're offering their own stuff and not somebody else's stuff. Okay. Let's grab this stone texture. It looks really red. I don't know how it got so red. It shouldn't be that red. It should be like that, probably. Okay, so let's just grab one of these faces, copy, Control C, go back to our model, Control V, paste. So now the texture is in there. It should show up in our materials tray. Just grab that and apply it. Now you'll notice that it looks pretty messy right here. I'll show you how to fix that. So for the top part where it's kind of messy, this is actually flat, but it's softened here. So if we go to View, Hidden Geometry, now we're showing all the lines. So we can just grab that face, right click, Texture, Project, and then turn off view hidden geometry, and then just project that onto all the tops. That will smooth out the texture on the top, but it won't fix the sides. So this side looks okay. This side looks okay. There's a couple ways we can do this. First, let's turn on show view hidden geometry, and we could use the eyedropper. We might be able to wrap it, but it's not working. So another thing we can do is find the middle of this curve, right click on that one face, go to texture, project, and then use the eyedropper and then project that projection, or apply that projection over to these other faces that are facing, the texture is messed up all the way over here. We might just do it on all of it, all of this whole side. Let's see how it might look stretched out. It doesn't really look stretched out to me. It does a little bit. Now, I know how to fix that though. I'm going to show you how to fix that. So let's apply it to this whole face. Let's just turn off. Now let's leave on. So we applied that projection of that one face that was going this way to this whole side, but now this looks a little stretched out. This is a little stretched out. So the way we fix that is we want this seam to line up. Oh, why is that not lining up? That should line up. There. So we want this seam to still line up here, but we want to unstretch that, for lack of a better word. I don't know what if unstretch is a word. I don't think it's a word, but I just made it a word. So I hold down Control Move, a copy of that projected face, but it's stretched, so I'm gonna make it into a group and then unstretch it, which is not really a word, but I just made it into a word. Now we have this seam still lines up properly, but yet it's not so stretched out. It's more normal size. Now we can reapply the material eyedropper onto that face, and now everything's fixed. No, it's not. It doesn't look good. Something happened with the... how did that happen? But I could line it up. I could line up the texture. Try to line it up. So like this lines up like that. Just move it over to where it lines up right there. Let's see if that works. Yep, that worked. I know it's a little tricky. It took me a while to figure this stuff out, but it is tricky. If little details like this, texturing is not that big a deal. I can fix it if I'm working on a project with you in the future, or someone on your team just has more experience with texturing, because it'll make you pull your hair out because it's just tricky. But over the years, you'll learn how to overcome these by making it do what you want. So unstretch, and then reapply, but we want this to match right there. Excuse me. That didn't line up. Should line up. Oh, because it's projected on an angle, that's why. Probably have to go back like that. Let's see if it's getting closer. Because it's projecting from this curved angle. Let's a lot of weird geometry. I think this should do it. There. Close enough. Okay, let's leave it. It's not perfect. Actually, that rock should be over here. I can't leave it. That doesn't look right. Man, it's got to be way over here. What am I doing wrong here? I don't know. Should be like way over there. Oh shoot. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I can right click and just, nah, it won't let me move the position of it over. It's getting closer. I don't expect anybody else to be this picky. This isn't as important as getting the model correct and to scale and modeling the walls and the roof and everything. This is just finishing touches that I like to just take care of as I go. But I can always fix this stuff later. Don't worry. Don't worry. I will not be angry if it's not perfect for the texturing. It's not a big a deal. The modeling is the main thing that should be accurate. 90% or more, but at least 90% accurate. But for things like wall heights and wall thickness, I mean, it should be pretty spot on. Like this, I think this is a 6-inch thick wall, you know, stuff like that. We can be 100% accurate because we can figure out what it should be as we go, or based on experience, and, you know, if we need to change a little bit as we go, we can do that. But, okay, so we're done texturing the wall. That looks good. Let's save it. So before we start modeling the walls, there's one more thing we have to do with this site, is that there's these exterior stone walls that go around an outdoor shower on both sides. So I'm going to go into X-ray mode and just draw those first. So it'll be, we'll start at the edge of this wall here and go 18 inches for here, and do the same thing here. And then we'll do an 18-inch wall here. And then we'll do a arc with 20 sides. And put it here. Another one here. Okay. Now we better do 30 sides. So it's a little bit smoother. can erase these extra lines, and then I want to save this texture here, so let me look at the plan over here, because it doesn't show up on the plan, and I just want to see where the doors are, the gates and everything, so I'm going to keep this texture here, and just draw that line like that. Now I'm going to grab these lines, copy them, move, hold control, then I'm going to scale it -1, enter, and then move it over here to get the lines for this one. There. Okay. Now these are going to be 6 feet high so that it hides a person, a tall person, while they're showering. And then we'll have the same stone texture, but also we need to fix the texture there. Let's try just eyedroppering the texture that is on the angle. I think that will be good enough. Ooh, not for that one though, that looks bad. Everything else looks good. It's just this one corner. So what we're going to do is, so everything is going on an angle with this texture going forward on a 45-degree angle. So we're going to have to grab a piece of that texture and rotate it. Let's see if I rotate it 90 degrees that way. What will that do? Yeah, that looks good. Fix that texture. And what I'm going to do is, since I like how that texture looks, I'm just going to delete that and just copy this over. I'll soften these lines up a little bit. It's not perfect, but it's 90% perfect. 90% is not perfect, it's perfect is 100%, but it's 90% good enough. I can always go back later and tweak things and get it to look a little bit better. Okay, so I've got my texture there where the doors are. I've got the... Ooh, something happened to that one. That one got messed up. When I scaled it, it still got messed up. Oh well, let's just fix it. We'll do the same thing we did, but now we have to select that corner piece. We grab this angle again. Fix this angle. There we go. Okay. That looks better. Also, the renderings will be, you know, from the outside here. They're not going to be really, probably won't be up close, but if they are, we can always tweak the texture a little bit later. Like I said, getting the texture to be perfect is not the most important thing. It's more getting the model to be accurate and everything in place where it should be, in the right heights and wall thicknesses and everything. That's more important. Okay, so now we're done modeling the site. I want to bring this plan over here. So let's save that. And we'll go use our view and go to the top view, go to camera, parallel projection, and then go to X-ray mode. And I believe if I move it over, let's see, 300 feet, 300 feet, it'll be lined up where it's supposed to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eyedropper the texture of the plan onto this face. There we go. But I still preserved the outdoor bath, both sides. Now this actually shows the ceiling, the reflected ceiling plan of underneath it, and it also shows the walls. So now let's move this out of the way for now. And we will go into X-ray mode, and we'll start drawing these walls on the outside. Let's you can get it, hold shift, and then snap it so it's the same length. This wall is the same length as that wall. And then go up 6 inches from that edge and then over. Okay, so now I can connect this line here because this is the outdoor area, and the wall is where the red is. So, but we need this line so that we can align the roof with it. So now that we have this area, we can use the offset tool. We know that the wall should be 6 inches thick, so we'll offset it by 6. That gives us our exterior wall. Then we can start to draw the rest of the walls. So I can go like this. And doesn't look quite right because I'm not in the middle there. Let's see. Is it symmetrical? I think it's symmetrical. Let's see what that does. Yeah, it's symmetrical. There we go. And then I can hold control 3 inches both ways. There we go. Draw a 6-inch wall here. Should, if it's symmetrical, which I think it is, I should just draw half of it. Let's see here, if I just draw a line down the middle, erase one side. I can just draw this one side and then mirror it over to the other side. Okay, so I want to grab all these lines. I can Control copy over here. Delete the faces. Oops, not the lines, just the faces. And then I'll mirror it, scale, -1, enter. And then just snap this half over here. Have it perfectly symmetrical. Now we have all the walls drawn, but it's a little bit, it's not cut out, so if I use the pencil tool and I just redraw a few of these lines, it'll recut itself out. All these faces should reappear the way they're supposed to. There we go. Yep. That looks good. Except for that one, isn't working. I don't know why. It's just being annoying. It's getting a little sticky. Might have to just redraw a few lines to get it to work again. Sometimes Sketchup does that. It throws a little bit of a fit. It wants to be angry. You just gotta redraw a few lines and it should reappear. Okay. One more. There we go. I can use the eyedropper to get back the textures that we lost. There we go. Okay, so now that the walls are drawn, let's save it. Next thing is I want to bring in this wall profile. Bring it over 300 feet. Bring it up. Double click. View, component, hide rest model. Now I want to draw this profile, and that will help us get the rest of it, the model drawn. So we'll go up here. I like to bring it up a little bit to give this metal roof a little bit of thickness. And then we can just delete that line underneath. We won't need that anymore. We're just doing the profile. And then we'll also just draw the other side of the profile. One thing to notice is if you look at, let's bring the texture back here. You can see this line right here. I believe that represents a beam inside the house. So this is the ceiling, there's the insulation, and then that's a wood beam, I believe. So let's go out of X-ray mode. So what I want to do is cut this wall detail section into 3 pieces. One that goes like this, and let's see, how high is this? 8'6". Come across like that. So I've got a piece here, a piece here, and then a piece here. So the first thing I want to do is use the push-pull tool to extrude these walls up to match. Oops. It's getting stuck on these, so I'm going to select these and right click and make them into groups so they don't get stuck on our walls. Now we should be able to just push pull this up to there. Let's select these walls, just give it default material. There is something I think I want to do. So this, funny enough, so this site plan shows where the windows and doors are, but the ceiling plan I have doesn't show the windows and doors. So for right now, that's probably the best I have, best I can get. So what I'm going to do is draw these windows and doors in here based on this plan, this site plan. I'm just creating the openings right now. I'm not drawing the windows and doors themselves because we will just copy and paste them from a previous project. We don't need to draw them every time, but we need to create an opening in the walls where they go. And we'll use the push-pull tool. Now the doors will go all the way down, the windows will go down. Let's go down 6 feet for now. So those are doors, window, window. All the rest are doors, looks like. Oops, I didn't draw that one yet. Delete any unused lines. Select all these walls and just give them the default texture again. Okay. Let's see here. I'm missing. Oh, I missed this window. Actually, this window is probably a higher one. So I'm just going to make it a little higher. These long, skinny windows. Okay. That looks good. So let's save that. And let's redraw the top of these windows and doors and make it go down 6 inches. So from the floor to the sill height is 8 feet. Just about 8 feet, which is what we want. I'm just going to redraw all of these areas really quick. And then delete these extra faces. Okay, I think I got it where I want it. For the walls, so the walls are done. We will save that. So now I want to take this piece and use the follow me tool to go around and create the entire roof. So I'm going to double click on that, and I'll just give it a normal default texture. Now what I want to do is use the pencil tool and just trace the outside edge of the walls. And instead of going across that wall, I'm gonna follow this line that I drew originally earlier, because the roof needs to follow out here and do an overhang, and then come back and then follow the edge of the walls again. Now I forgot, for this also needs to be drawn and come out this direction. And then make these 6-inch beams here. Okay. Now I'll go back into my working roof object, and then I'm going to follow that profile instead of following the walls back, because the roof is going to come out and overhang this direction as well. So I'll go back here and then start following the edge of the walls again, all the way back to the beginning. And I wonder why it didn't make a face. I should have connected and made a face. Don't know why it didn't. There. Okay, that's what I want. I wanted to see this face here. So using this face and this face, we're going to use the follow me tool to generate the roof. And when I generate the roof using the follow me tool, it's going to have all these nice details in the profile and the gutter. It's all going to be there. You ready? Select this, click follow me tool, and then select this one. That's it. Oh, it's nice. Now we just have to clean up the insides and draw the rest of the top of the roof by hand. Just using the eraser tool to get rid of the extra stuff. This will pull out, and then we'll follow this, hold shift, click on that side, and get these all redrawn or cleaned up and extended the way they're supposed to. This one we're just going to cut right on the end here, because we don't know how far it extends yet. Right click, intersect with selection. There we go. Let's just leave it like that for now. And then go ahead and draw the rest of this. Click on the corner, hover over that line, hold shift, and then hover over this line, or this face over here, to create that triangle. Do the same thing for all of these. can see, we can check it against our roof plan and see that it actually matches. So we did it the way that they were thinking it would look using the follow me tool. Ah, yes, it's nice. Okay. We have our other inside profile still. Okay, so let's save this. So one thing we need to add to this roof is it's going to be a metal roof for now, so we need to add a metal cap. So we're going to control move copy up and double click, and what we're going to do is select all these bottom faces and then make it a group and delete it. We don't need that. We just need these ones. So we're going to offset all these faces by 5 inches. So offset 5, enter, and then double click all the rest of them. So now we've offset with the offset tool all those faces. Now we're going to use the pencil tool and just extend out these caps on the top crease edges here. Oops, it's a little crooked. We don't need the inside ones, we're just going to do the outside, the top crease. So this one. This one, oops, gotta be straight there. There we go. Extend that out. Extend this back. And we can delete all the extra stuff that we don't need. We just need the top. Oop, we missed one. We gotta close this up. Right there. Ooh, we missed this too. That's not good. Still need that right there. And then this one here. Need to extend those lines. I think that's it. I think this will work. Okay, so now we've got the top caps for all the roof top edges. So I'm gonna select all those faces and then control move a copy up 1 inch. Actually, I'm going to do 1.5 inches, so 0.5 more, so 1.5 inches up, yes, and then delete these inside faces. We don't need those. They're just in the way. want to do is connect the top face to the bottom edge, and it will create faces and create a thickness for us. That's what we want to create that top metal cap around the roof. I think that's finished. So now we just have to lower it down onto the roof. There, that looks good. Let's save that. So, next is we need to add ridges in here. So we're going to copy and paste them from this project. We'll just grab one of these pieces. Copy and paste. Move and rotate. Get it up into the right spot here. And then rotate it up. There we go. since this was created with this direction in mind, I can use the scale tool to scale the whole thing up to here, and then I'll have to start, I'll double click on this, delete the ones I don't need, and then I have to start scaling some of these back to match where it's supposed to go. So that's one side done. We have to do the same thing to all the sides. And we're going to use the same material on the rest of the roof. So let's select all of these faces. And it should be that dark gray material. Select the roof. And apply it to the roof. We'll just start off by applying it to everything and then slowly bring back the rest of it there. We can copy these posts in there now. There is one thing I forgot. As this building sits on the site, the floor and everything above the floor, all these walls, everything should be raised up 6 inches. I forgot to do that. So that, yeah, this floor should be 6 inches higher than the grass out here, or whatever this material ends up being. The posts can stay where they're at for now, but I totally forgot that. So start by using the push-pull tool to raise up the floor 6 inches. Now that we raise up the floor 6 inches, we have to raise up everything else above the floor 6 inches. So I'm going to grab everything like this. Try to get these window sills as well. Just lift everything up 6 inches. Should be good. Oops, not this. So now that should be yeah, I didn't lift it up yet, so then it'll end up being 9 feet high. Oops. 6 inches higher. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, looking good here. I'm gonna change the styles here and just add a little bit of sky. It bothers me when the sky is completely white. Save it. Okay, so now we have to add these ridges to all the rest of the faces, so let's do it. Start with the biggest face over here. Rotate 90 degrees. Now we'll have to duplicate this. Control move 1 foot and then type in 22x, enter, and that will multiply it. To scale some of these up, some of them down. It's usually easier to start with the bigger surfaces first and then go smaller so that you can reduce the size as you go. Save it. I'm going to grab all the roof surfaces and make them into a group and double click just so I can hide the rest of the model. Make it a little easier to see things. gonna move this back to the wall here, and then I'm going to, let's see, how thick is this? That's too thick there. I want to take just a half of this thickness. If I create a face in here by connecting this line back here, now I have a whole surface to work with underneath here. And I'm going to use the offset tool to pull it out halfway. And then I can delete that face, I don't need that. And then use the push-pull tool to pull this down to that level right there. But of course, this we want to wrap around, so we need to fix this area here. We don't need this here. Let's So now what I want to do is get this ceiling plan into the cut out into the ceiling. So I'm going to double click on this roof. Keep double clicking until I get to these faces. Go to my material, eyedropper, and eyedropper that material onto the ceiling. Like that. Now that I can see that I can actually cut out those ceiling pieces. Make a 6-inch high there and then go back another foot or 12 inches in all directions up here. And then redraw these to the corners. Now these should be able to move up. But we have to line that up with our profile, our third cutout profile right here. So let's go back into here, paste our profile in here. Oh, we got rotated. Just gotta rotate it at 90 degrees. So if I put this up here, I can see this has to go up a little bit. I'm going to leave it like that for now. It's good enough. Now I need to draw these other roofs, or the other ceilings. Match the heights to this one. this just goes in. Actually, I did this wrong. This is gotta come out. Like that. Yeah, because the dotted line means it goes behind. Okay. Yeah, that was right. I messed it up. Yeah, it should be like that. Now I can delete that because all I need to do is just duplicate this ceiling over here, and I'll just grab this ceiling here if I can. Okay, I just copied those faces over and made that ceiling without having to redraw it because it's the same exact size. Okay, that's pretty good for now. We have a problem now that we have our ridges are popping through our ceiling, so we have to rein them in so they're not doing that. Okay, now we can add in the windows and doors. Just want to get rid of these extra lines there. We'll go to our other pass model, grab some of these doors, put them in here. They don't really fit, but we can just scale it to fit. We'll paint this the same material as the wood on top of the doors. Let's grab some single doors now. Pop these in where these showers are. Well, this is the opposite direction. For right now, I'm just going to move this door into the center and not worry about which side. I'm just going to make sure the handle is lined up with the swing of this door here. And line up the edges there. There, it looks good. I'll have to reduce the height of it a little bit. There. And I need to do the same to these. Just reduce the height just a little bit. That looks good. Add some more doors in here. Grab these outdoor gates, place those around. One here. We're going to grab this window and put it in our new model. This is a triple window, but we can just get rid of these two. Just bring that over. Okay, so we need to add a window over here. Control, move a copy over there. Looks like our opening is not big enough, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to triple click on the model, right click and say make group, and then double click and then say view, component edit, hide rest of model, and then I'm going to just push pull these out a little bit, make them a little bit bigger. Okay, so we've got the doors and we've got most of the windows, but we need these long windows here. So let's go back to our old model here. I'm going to grab that window, copy and paste into here, rotate it 180 degrees. to rotate it a little bit to get it to line up here. Snap it here, rotate it there. And we'll line up these edges with the rest of the windows. Like that. I'll just pull it down so that it matches the bottom here. Now what I want to do is double click inside that window and line these windows up for now. Unless they did tell us to move them back, separate them a little bit, we can just do it like this. We will have to, oops, I'm inside now. I want to be out here. We're going to need to just scale, use the scale tool and move this down so that it's properly aligned. That looks pretty good. Now let's scale the whole thing down. Like that. There. Now I want to copy that. Just copy and hold Control, rotate 180 degrees, and move it over here to this side. You can snap that to there. Lift it up to there, and then pull it out to there. Okay. So now we have all the windows and doors on the exterior done. I do want to put the doors in the interior as well. Let's see if we have some interior doors. I don't think we do on this model. Which is a bummer. I'll have to make sure I put some interior doors in this model before I upload this tutorial. Maybe I could find an interior door on a different project. Yeah, I think I'm gonna grab a different model really quick. And get an interior door, and I will also insert it into the file that I upload for going along with this training. It's taking a little bit to open. There we go. Now, I don't have interior doors, but what I want to do is take this solid door, and it's a double door, and copy and paste it into our model, and then just make it a single door. So I'm going to delete that, and then scale this down. Make it a single. Like that. Move that in here. That's weird. Looks like the rotation is off. Let's fix the rotation. There we go. I'm just gonna, for now, just gonna put this door in the middle, and then scale it to fit this opening, so that when we do the renderings or whatever we need to do, there's something. It's not just a hole in the wall. There's actual door. So we'll just copy this door around the different openings. I think that's good. We can look at if we grab that roof group and move it up 100 feet, and then we can look inside here and see how things are looking. Looks pretty good. Okay. So I don't, well, that's fine. Let's just leave that the way it is. Okay. There's a couple things. So I'm gonna save it first. So I'm gonna double click on this group and do view, component edit, hide rest of model, and I need to draw this little area right here for the shower. I'm just gonna line it up with that. Use a 20, I'll do a 30. Section curve there. So that texture is different than this texture. And then I'm going to just bring this across, delete those. Do the same thing over here. Okay. So now that the walls are done, the doors, windows are done, the ceiling is done, the roof is done, the site is done. The only thing I need to do is this patio area out here. So to do that, first I'm going to eyedropper our site plan, because I still have this texture right here. I can eyedropper it from here over to here and get that site plan to show up, because I need to draw this patio. So I'm going to delete that line and then make this into a curve. I'm going to use 100 side curve because it's a big curve. I want it to be smooth. Right there. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull it up 1 inch. Okay, just 1 inch to begin with. And even though from here to here it's 5 more inches, and that's okay. We're gonna fix that. So for now, let's just give it all a default material so that we're not distracted by the image. Actually, I want to save that texture for later. Okay. So now I want to draw a line with the pencil tool from here up to here. Same thing with here, up to there. Then draw a line from this corner up to there. And then draw a line across there. And draw a line across here. So this patio is going to be sloping up from this edge up to 6 inches higher up here, so that if it gets any rain, the rain will fall that way away from the house and won't go into the bedroom. So now we can delete that extra face, and we can delete that face. We don't need that one. So we can do our trick that we used to model the hill and select all these outside lines. We don't want this face though. Just the outside lines for that hole, and then use sandbox tools, create surface. Right click, explode that, and then we can hide all these lines. And we'll smooth them out. Smooth out all these lines in the middle. That's right, okay. That looks good. Now we need to grab a texture for that. Let's save it first. Save it as a new version. Let's grab a texture for this from this patio. And copy paste it into here, and this texture is already projected, which is good. We just know that by right clicking. Now it's on a slope, so I can't see the texture, but if I do view hidden geometry, now the line stroke, now I can right click on that and see the texture, see if it's projected. Now I can take the eyedropper from the materials window, or materials tab, or window, whatever it's called, and then oops, I don't want that. First I'm going to double click so I'm inside this group, so I'm not applying the texture to the group or the material, but I'm applying it just to that face. There we go. Now for the side, I don't want it to be projected, because then that will give streaking. Actually, that's not bad because it's only 1 inch, so it actually looks pretty good. If it was more than 1 inch, I wouldn't do it with a projection because it would cause these big streaks. But 1 inch, I think it looks fine. This slope is a little bit steep, so I'm gonna fake it until I make it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to raise it up 2 inches and redo this edge, and then I'm going to go down 1 inch from there and then go to this slope to this corner. So I'm going to cheat it a little bit with this grass out here. That slope's a little big. I'm even going to go up, I want it to go up 1 more inch. There. That's not so drastic. So we're just kind of what they call fudging it a little bit. And then I can smooth out that grass over here. I'll do the same thing. So I'm gonna draw a line from here to here. Then I can grab this and go up 3 inches there, and then smooth out that line. So there's a triangle that's sloping up a little bit, which is fine. It's still sloping the rain away from the house. Reapply this texture. And that's good. That looks really good. Okay. Now for this interior texture, I like to split the difference on the door threshold. So just draw a line halfway between, so the half of it comes from the material from the outside, and then half of it will be from the material from the inside, which I'll have to copy in a material for that from here, the other model. And we can use that for the interior floor texture. There we go. That looks good. Okay, and then let's just apply grass material to this out here. And then smooth out that. Okay, let's get some more materials for the walls here. Let's grab one of these. For the exterior wall. And then we can grab this, this material is stucco here for the underside of the ceiling here. Just copy and paste it in here. So now we have this texture, put it in here. Okay, so I don't need this anymore because the roof is already done, and I don't need this anymore because the ceiling and the walls are already done. So the only thing I need to do is texture, actually two things. I want to put some furniture on the patio, and then I want to apply textures to that. So first, let's save it. As a new version. Now, let's grab some patio furniture here. So I'm going to, I want to save that texture. I guess it's already on the edges here, so I can move this texture over here once again, and just to see where the furniture goes. So I can see I need this right here for this. Over here. shoot, it was just rotated. I just need to rotate it. That's what it is. Okay, there we go. Okay. Let's copy and paste this over here. That looks good. So let's reapply this texture, this material from there. Now the last thing we need to do is apply materials to this little area here. Let's find something similar to right here. That's just a concrete texture, but I need this rock texture. So let's go to here. Eyedropper this rock texture into here and there, and then just put concrete in there. And that's it. So easy, right? Okay, that's good. We'll call it good. I mean, there's always a little bit more we could do. You know, we could add some furniture on the interior. And then some textures on the interior, but I'm not worried about the interior. As long as it doesn't have any holes in it, and there's walls and doors and windows, I'm okay with it. Okay. Thank you for following along.